Hi, it's me again with CorelDraw tips and tricks. I'm going to show you how to make this pattern or something close. I would do a few things different if I did it again, and I'm going to do it right now. But we're going to use a lot of tools. Let me take away the indexing lines for a second. Let me move all this stuff out of the way and just delete that. We are going to take a 8-sided polygon. I'm going to hold down the control button. Right now, it does not matter what size it is. I'm going to go ahead and hit P and put it in the center of the page. Because it's 8-sided, I'm going to rotate it 22.5 degrees, which really doesn't matter, but I like working with it like that. We're going to take a 2-point line and we're going to intersect all the longest points. The only thing you need to think about is you want to go through the center. Every one of them wants to be through the center. So as long as you're connecting in the center, you're good. Just make sure you're dead on. Now, we're going to go ahead and reduce this in size, just so I won't have to nudge over so far. And we're at 7.3 inches. I'm going to set my nudge factor to 5. I'm going to take my Smart Fill tool, and I'm going to fill these in and nudge them over. I'm just keeping my hand on the right arrow key and it's nudging them over. I actually didn't need that one twice. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go left click no fill, right click outline, and I'm going to go to object and group them. By grouping them, we're going to be able to contour them all at the same time. Now we're going to make this a certain size. With our ratio locked, we're going to make it 8 inches. Just so we'll have a set off of something pretty close. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go to effects and contour. Because it's grouped together, we can contour them all at the same time. I'm going to go to the inside with square corners at 1/4 inch. And you get that right there. Now, normally I break the contour apart, but in this case I don't have to because I'm not going to use that Smart Fill tool, and I'm going to nudge those over. And then I'm going to take all these and I'm going to left click, right click. So now I have this. Now we're at 7.5 inches because we contoured. I'm going to go ahead and group these together. Control G. I'm going to set my nudge factor to 8. And I'm going to duplicate that and move it over. And that puts my distance between everything the same. I'm going to Control D and duplicate those. Now here's where it gets a little bit tricky, but I'm going to go ahead and group these together. I don't need these anymore, but I'm going to keep them just in case later. I'm going to go ahead and go P and put it in the center of the page. And then this is where, I said I could make it a little bit different. This is the part we're going to work on right now. This center part, which I don't really like, but it worked at the time. And we're going to let's try a 8-sided polygon. And because we're working from the center of the page, we can hit the center holding down the shift and the control button. It'll grow outwardly. Now I'm going to go ahead and make it, let's see what it looks like 6-sided. That looks pretty good. We're going to rotate it 22.5 degrees. Whoop. You know what? Maybe the 6-sided would not be. Maybe it'd be 18. Well, it doesn't fit in there because it's not 6-sided. We actually got a square. So tell you what we're going to do. We're just going to make it a 4-sided. And tell you what, let's back up to the original drawing. And let's make it a 4-sided. And let's rotate that. That might be the problem right there. I'm going to put it back to 0. So now we're pretty good, except for that we're a little bit thick. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that line, take that rectangle or square. It's a polygon, but it's actually a square. Hold down the shift key and have it grow outwardly a little bit. And if you were doing it for real, you'd have a mark in there or measurement. And we're basically done. And you could do anything inside here. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go and group these together. Now we need to find the center of each one of these, and there's no centerable part. So we're going to use indexing lines to do that. And I'm going to turn on my indexing lines. I'm going to go ahead and delete these. Don't have to delete them because I want to make new ones. Now I'm going to intersect the line with that node right there. And I have snap to guidelines on. I'm going to take another one and I'm going to grab it and I'm going to put it right here on this node. You only have to do the 4 of them because it's doing them equally. So I'm going, and if you get close to that point, if you're not close to that point, it won't do it. But if you're close to that point, it'll hit right on the node. That's giving us a centerable item. So now what I can do is take the rectangle tool and I'm going to have the intersection and go all the way down to this intersection. And then that way they're right in the middle. I'm going to turn off my indexing lines. This is all one group. So now I can select it all and go up to weld and intersect. And I intersected that box out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and make everything black. Now our distance, let's see how big we are. We're still at 8 inches. So let's make our nudge factor 8.5. And let's take this and Control D, Control D, Control D. And you could make as many of them as you want. So we've got 5. So now I'm going to select them all and Control D and go down. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's pretty slick and pretty easy. Now we need a rectangle around it, but we can't use the rectangle tool on this because it's all broken up. So we're going to select it all, go up to group or object group and group it. Then we're going to hold down the shift key and double click on the rectangle tool. Now it's 42. So we're going to make it 44 and that put it, well, it's a little bit thick. Let's make it 43.5. Now it's all relatively about the same size. Let's get it off the page. And at this time, you can make it whatever size you want it because everything's going to reduce equally. And let's see how big we are. We're at 25 inches still, so that's pretty big. Let's reduce it quite a bit more. Just taking a handle. Whoop, didn't grab the whole thing. Grab the entire group and put it down. And then in this case, you could still keep going, just figure out how far to nudge it. So we're at 8 point, well, that doesn't really matter. Well, it does because we're going to nudge. So we want, this is at 8.3, so we're 8.5 nudge. Let's take our Smart Fill tool, set on, let's go with green this time. Just hit an open area and it filled them all in. Now I would strongly suggest moving that over. And there you have a geometric pattern. It'll probably look better in black. Didn't have anything selected, turn it black. And I like it. The square came out pretty good. Maybe I went a little bit thick on the lines, maybe contour a little bit less. And you could see that my square is a little bit thicker than the other lines, so I would correct that. But it's a, pattern that just keeps going on and on and on. And you could just keep going, with this, left click, right click. We are at, let's make it easy. So let's make it 8 inches. I've got my ratio locked. At this time, I would probably get rid of my outer line. Got to break the curve apart instead of ungrouping it. Just get rid of that box. Let's see how big this is. Let's make it 8. And let's make our nudge factor 8.5. This is not a group, so we're going to I hit Control D. I'm going to back up. I'm going to grab this, Control G, Control D, and move. Well, that's too far. Because I reduced it quite a bit. So what you would do, you'd measure how far one of these lines are. Let's take the parallel dimension tool. Let's measure one of these lines, kind of go at a perfect angle, and we're only at 0.10 big. So let's grab this. It's 8 inches. We're going to go 8.1. We're going to grab it, Control D, make a duplicate, and look at that. You could just keep going on and on and make it as big as you want. Because it's square, we can use the same distance. I mean, if you were cutting out a vent panel for an air conditioner or just a blind to kind of hide something, now you can't just fill it in because you don't have a square around it, but you just do what we did previously. Anyway, kind of a fun, and then you can do anything you want to with it. Let's go ahead and let's finish it. I just can't stop. Let's take this and Control G to group it, hold down the Shift, hit the rectangle tool, and put a box around it. Take the box and just hold down the Shift to make it grow outwardly. Whoop, maybe I didn't do it. Oh, I still had a box there. That was what was causing the problem. Let me get rid of that. This is a group of 20 objects, so I can hold down the Shift, hit the double click on the rectangle tool and put a rectangle around it. Hold down the Shift so it'll grow outwardly. And then of course, you'd want to figure out the correct dimensions. Let's color it blue. So anywhere in an open spot, it's going to take a little bit because Corel's having to fill in all those deals. I was just going to show you, maybe I shouldn't have gone this far because this thing is huge. But then you could use the interactive fill tool to color blend it like I had on that first one at the very start of the video. There it is, so we can go in and do it. Take the interactive fill tool. Let's go sideways and see what happens. And then let's turn one side red, or red, and you have a total different look. Pretty cool design. Anyway, I hope that helped a little bit. Thank you for watching.